if you have an NHS nursing interview coming up, that means if you're a registered nurse and you have an NHS band 5 interview coming up, then these tips would help you in this interview. Number one, any question you're being asked, visualize it. So I'll give an example. So an example is if you are asked, if you find a patient on the floor, what do you do? Visualize seeing a patient on the floor and just think about what you will do. Answer the question to the best of your understanding. Don't leave any stone unturned. Talk about how you assess the patient, how you leave the patient, check for fractures, CT scan, every test you need to do, everything you need to put in place to prevent the fall from happening again. Talk about assessing the patient's mobility, how you leave the patient from the floor. Talk about doing a risk assessment, full risk assessment. Also talk about finding out the reason for the fall. Is it because the patient was not wearing their anti-slip? Is the patient confused? Will the patient require a one-to-one? Everything. Just don't assume that, oh, they know that this is what you obviously do, and they are not talk about everything, because the way they grade you during NHS nursing interview is by points. So anything you say, I mean, that's a point added to your to your mark. So talk about everything. Another example is that if you see a student nurse and a healthcare assistant having an argument in the sluice or wherever, what will you do? Talk about how you have to first of all separate them. Like, I mean, call someone to call someone to a separate room, ask them what happened, call the other person to another separate room, ask them what happened, document it. uh Documentation, you always have to talk about the fact that you're going to document it and how you address the issue generally. Don't just assume that because you've addressed the issue you're not going to revisit it, or you're not going to document it, or something. Also, with the four that I mentioned earlier, you have to also mention that you're going to document it and prevent it hand over to not just the other nurse that's going to take over from you, but to the carers on the shift, to the family as well. Inform the family. So don't leave anything undone. Just talk about everything you need to know, everything you would do in that kind of situation. Another important thing is that you read about the trusts you're going for interview, know their values, and also read about the ward. If you're going for an interview on a renal ward, know everything about renal units, read about it, because they can actually ask you what do you know about it, and you should be able to talk, and say what you know about it. So it's important for you to also read the trust value and know about the ward, the kind of care they're going to be giving in the ward, what you expect,